Triple Shot Mindset. Welcome back. We've had a little bit of a hiatus, but we're back. To all our loyal listeners, want to say thank you.
Especially DP.
Especially GP.
DP, where you at?
You know, we've shouted you out in like 3 episodes and we don't know where those episodes went.
Yeah, Kevin's phone.
But do just know that we did try to reach you through the spiritual realms. So today I want to talk
Amor,
Fati.
Fati. Mana kadi qarakati.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Because I'm holding this.
incidentally, this
As
is
you
the
noticed.
topic I wanted to talk about.
Get out of here.
Okay, because I brought it up yesterday during a meeting sesh,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, I got reminded of this. Let me go, steal it from you tomorrow, which is today.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So it came up in
Amor
convo,
Fati.
and then who decided that it was going to be her topic? Who
I
made
brought
the
it up
choice?
yesterday.
Then I bring it up, and you're like, "Oh my god, that's what I was going to talk about."
Then why don't you say in the morning,
Yeah.
this is the topic I'm talking about.
Because he didn't. Because he said it was his backwoods
Backwards.
words, back
Back
end,
fall back.
fall back.
Fall back.
Fall
Then it's
back,
not your
my
main.
whack.
Okay, go ahead.
You just liked it when I said it and wished it had been your topic, and that's okay. Be like that.
So what is
sometimes.
this Fati thing?
Amor Fati means love
Amor
your
means
fate.
love. Fati means fate.
Yeah, and then I don't know where they stick the your in. Technically, that translates to love fate.
I want to say mi amor,
My love.
my love.
Yeah. Amor,
Amor
fati.
fati.
Love fate.
Love of fate. You can say of. Like, not every language has to follow the American or the English.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for that. So, love your fate, the concept means we're losing Kevin already. It means,
You know what time I went to bed?
what time? Tell us more.
Love
I
of
ate
fate.
at 9 o'clock, woke up at 1:30.
Love of
You
fate.
ate at 9 o'clock
I went to bed at 9,
p.m.
woke up at 1,
And then
1:30.
1.5.
I started working. Woke.
He worked.
You woke.
Till what time?
6:15, 6:20 I was done.
Did you work hard or just work?
Hard.
That's great.
Now I'm interested in this
Amor fati.
Fati
Yeah.
Amor.
And I'm going to try and keep you awake
Fati Amor.
by making it somewhat engaging. The concept is,
All right, which I told you yesterday. Go ahead.
how about you explain it then?
No.
Come on.
No, I
Please,
want
please,
to
please,
hear.
please,
No, I want to hear your twist to it. No, I want to hear your twist. To it.
Okay, my twist. I don't have a twist. The way that I heard it on Daily Stoic, come back to us, Kevin, come back, is that the concept is whatever happens to you, you choose to accept it as if you had chosen it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, that's a good interpretation.
What's your interp?
Amor fati, right? Love of fate, right?
Love your fate.
Love of fate.
He's
your
translating
fate.
from
It's
the Old Roman.
Old Roman,
Old
right?
Roman.
Which, in my opinion, means you got to accept the fate, okay? Whether it's good or bad. And I think it's necessary. If it's bad, it's necessary to have that.
As DJ Ski would say, it is what it is. Right? You
Who
accept
is
it.
DJ Ski?
Long story. But used to be a DJ.
Will our viewers and listeners know?
No. He would always say, it is what it is.
Amor fati, though, to me,
You love, it is what it is. You love, you got to love what you're given.
Yes.
No.
Oh.
I don't think that's what it should mean. I'll tell you why.
Should.
Okay? There's some people who say, oh, I have a big appetite for cheeseburgers. Amor fati, man, this is... No. It's talking about things that happen to you in life, and you have to take it as a lesson if it's a bad thing. You have to take it as something that's necessary for you to grow. Not like, oh, man, my back hurts. Amor fati, I got to sit here and watch 5 hours of TV. That's not what it means.
Yeah, don't use it to enable a
Yeah.
victimhood mentality.
Yeah. But what it means, like, as Thomas Edison one time did this.
Oh, the slave owner.
So, that's...
I'm kidding.
Right. As Thomas Edison one time, he was at his factory and it was catching on fire. And he ran outside and he looked at it. He's like, wow, this is a brilliant looking fire. Hey, son, go get your mom and her friends. This is the best fire show you're going to see, right? Which doesn't mean he's saying, oh my God, everything's going up in flames. God doesn't want me to, continue on my journey. It says, well, I'm going to make the best of the situation. Now I'm learning from what this means, and I'm going to do better.
When you corrected me to say no, that doesn't mean what it. That's exactly what it is. It is what it is. It's burning. Might as well make the best of it and say, you know what?
You didn't say the second part. You said it is what it is. Now,
if you're listening, I did say the second part.
He was getting to it for sure.
No, yeah.
I'm like, you accept it, you embrace it. You're like,
I
you
have
know what?
no idea what ski guy has to do with this whole
DJ
thing.
Ski, bro.
It means
DJ
like
Ski.
sometimes you don't have a choice. Edison doesn't have a choice for him to factory don't burn. It is burning. It is what it is. So might as well just sit back and say, you know what? Wow, what a fire show.
And in the circumstances where you do have a choice, I think you make a different choice. Like the Stoic precept that you should act with every moment like you chose it. And I think Eckhart Tolle also speaks to this. It's funny because the Stoics were not big meditators in the traditional sense or like all about the spirituality. They were very practical dudes. But Eckhart Tolle, who's a spiritual guy who a lot of people think is like off his
Rockers.
little bit, says the same thing.
Let's talk about Mr. Tolle for a second, right? What's his race?
I don't know. And I don't think his name even is Eckhart.
Yeah.
He changed it to that.
Yeah.
What's that matter?
I don't know. Why does it matter, you?
It doesn't matter. I was just curious.
Oh.
But I think when I look at my own life before the divorce,
BD.
BD,
RDBD.
BD and AD,
Yeah.
right? Before the divorce, I thought everything happens and just roll with it, right? And I thought, okay, well, if I'm a victim now, I'm going to be a victim later. That's what the universe wants me to do. But after the AD, now I understand that things happen to strengthen you, to make you understand your soul's purpose a little bit better, and to kind of force you into, or forge you into the person you're supposed to be.
Oh, I love that. The difference
Yeah.
between force and forge is only one letter. Just made that up.
So for me, well, it's kind of true. Is it? Forge. You're the wordsmith.
Hold on. Forge. FORCE.
See, huh.
Yes.
Just one.
This one.
Yeah. So this concept, which I was telling you guys about yesterday, and it got picked up somehow by your subconscious and conscious.
That's how.
It means so much to me that I want people like around me, like my brother, my mom, my friends, to understand that when they hit a wall, it doesn't mean the universe doesn't want you to go any further. It wants you to go around it or through it. And when I understood that concept, I see you're
That
like
was good.
loving that.
That
yeah.
was really good.
And when I understand that thing, I know that when things happen for a reason, like you got to find a way around it. Why did that thing happen to me? And how is it going to affect me and my trajectory? And you find a way around it or through it.
It's like the burger thing that you said you shouldn't, or the point is not, oh, I eat a lot of burgers, I have an appetite for burgers. Let me just accept that truth about myself and eat myself into heart disease.
Yes.
At the same time, I think some people do that though.
They do.
They're like, this is just how I am.
Yeah. That's why when DJ Ski said it is what it is, right? And he didn't follow it up with the rest of the lesson. I think that gives people a false sense of, okay, well, you know, this is my destiny. I just got to eat burgers.
I think the word Fati, what? Amor Fati?
Amor Fati.
Amor Fati.
Fati.
Fati is what? Fate, right?
Yes.
A decision, in my opinion, is not fate. Okay? Whatever is bound to happen to you will happen to you. Yes, you have some hand in it, but if it's in the cards, it's in the cards. I think your example of, oh, I'm going to eat because, so what is there, that is not amor fati. That's a bad decision. I think if you're in a situation like this young man was, he has to say, you know what, it is what it is. The divorce has happened. I have to change my perspective and see it as I don't want to say positive in like, oh, I'm happy, but let me change the way I look at it, grow from it, and become a stronger person as a result. Versus saying, oh, I know I'm not going to accept this. I got to do anything I can to get her back. Yeah, you try that as a human being. You fight. But at some point, you're like, you know what? Okay, if that's the decision has been made, I'm past that fork in the road, I have to accept it and make the best of it.
And ultimately, our decisions do have a hand in our fate. Because even the cheeseburger guy or girl or non-gender
And say no cheese.
can say no cheese. Or because if you end up with heart disease, you have to love that fate because you chose it.
You chose it.
Anyway, so in a way, we all do have a hand in our fates to a certain degree. We're all doing choices. We're making choices. So it's
I would
two-parter.
disagree with that. In some things, we have a decision. But let's say a parent passes away.
In some things, yes.
Okay, now what do you do?
No, a parent passes away. You have no
Or the
control
factory.
over that.
The factory. It wasn't a decision.
No,
of yours.
it's not. It's not, of course. But it's how you
That's
deal
what it
with
meant.
it. How you decide to say, "Oh shoot!" Like my mom died.
That's exactly what I said. I said not everything is a decision of yours.
Yeah.
But when it does happen, you have a choice of how you're going to deal with it.
Yeah. Which is another Daily Stoic quote that was my other choice that I was thinking about choosing, which I can't remember who, if it was Seneca or Epictetus
I'm sorry, say again?
or Marcus Aurelius.
Probably Marcus Aurelius.
I don't know who said it.
Probably Marcus.
Or maybe even the guy who does Daily Stoic, Ryan Holiday, if you're listening, please feature us on your show. We love you.
Hashtag.
Yeah, hashtag the Daily Stoic. I read his daily newsletter every day. It's very inspiring. He sends it out between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. And I'm like, yeah, good timing.
Pacific time.
I'm usually in the bathroom at that time.
Oh, perfect.
Is that where you read it?
Yes, usually.
Okay.
Anyway, it might have been Viktor Frankl, who you're familiar with.
No. VF.
Concentration camp survivor.
Oh,
Who
that
wrote
guy.
the
Yes.
Man's Search for Meaning.
Sure.
Said, no matter what happens to you, you choose your attitude to deal with the situation and your response. That is the one thing that man always has freedom over forever. Even if, like you said, and you're absolutely right, not everything you have a hand in choosing. Car accident, you don't have a hand in choosing that. I mean, yeah, you got in the car, but that's like saying, yeah, you chose to be born. You can take that so far back. It's not, no one wants a bad thing to happen to themselves. But then to choose your attitude, that is what we have complete freedom over. But I think that's also very loose advice, because I know people who are suffering, and it's not always helpful to say, hey, choose to have a better attitude.
Yeah.
Actually, I disagree with that.
Well, I know you would.
Yeah. Because I have friends who come to me, they're like, oh, this happened to me, that happened to me, therefore I'm a druggie, therefore I am, looking for
Who
attention.
of your friends is a druggie?
We're not going to talk about Kirkwood like that, all right?
Oh.
But anyway, we have friends, like, for example, my mom, love her to death. But for the past 20 years, I feel like she's given up on doing things with her life. Because for some reason, she said, I was divorced. I was given this fate. And God sometimes chooses me to be like this. Sometimes I'm like, Mom, you could have chosen, just like my dad did, to get over it, go get psychological help, therapy, whatever it may have been, to choose another path. But you chose to let that event define you. And to this day that I see her, she has some sort of a resentment against that thing. And that event has made her, it's kind of her excuse for just giving up on everything. And I think when I talk to people like my mom or friends or whatever, who have let an event kind of define them, like I have women friends who say, oh, like my ex-husband did this and that, therefore I'm going to lash out in that other direction. This is all a, reaction kind of I say make your reaction something that's going to be positive, not something that's going to be like negative. So my mom, negative. These friends, negative. If I can choose my own destiny, I'm going to choose something that's going to be beneficial to me. So if I see a divorce and it happened to me and I'm like, wow, what am I going to do with this? I have the choice to go sleep with a bunch of women, go drinking, try to numb myself and go in a totally different direction that one day I have to come back and course correct. Or I could say, you know what, I'm going to put that energy into self-growth, into learning things, why this happened to me so it doesn't happen in the future. So I think we all have choices, but as human beings, we take the easy route. And I think for me to say, oh, the divorce defined me as a single dad, that's why I don't use that term on social media anymore. I don't want to be a single dad.
What do you want
I'm
to
a
be?
dad. I'm a dad. I'm a creator. I'm this, I'm that. I'm not a single, like me being with someone or not doesn't define me. So I think a lot of people, they take that definition and they kind of run with it. Oh, I'm this because 10 years ago, my ex-husband did that. I don't buy into that.
Yeah. And that's, I don't think they even realize it, but that's not the easier route to suffer. To make yourself suffer forever is not easier. But I've never had success in telling a friend or family member when they were in that stage of whatever, like, hey, just change your attitude. Like that. I've never seen
No, it
that
doesn't.
be received positively is what I'm
No.
trying to say.
It doesn't. It's something that you have to have the awareness to change yourself. Even if it's the hardest thing to do, like a few nights ago, sitting at home, when my kids had to go back to my ex-wife, like I was kind of depressed. And I was sitting there with all the lights off, just sitting there on the sofa, just going through my Instagram. And for a second, I said, Ardavan, look at yourself from an outside perspective. Is this what you want to be? And I got up, turned off my phone, threw it to the corner, turned off all the lights, went behind my computer and started writing part of my book. Because I figured I cannot be this. Because if I sit in that position, that's who I'm going to become. It's going to be comfortable. The sofa is comfortable. The scrolling through Instagram Reels is comfortable. Feeling sad about myself is comfortable. Being angry at the universe and the life that I've had is comfortable. But I decided to look at myself for a split second. I said, boop. I tossed it, turn on all the lights. And when I sat behind my computer, I decided to change my mindset 180 degrees.
To your point, there are things that you do have control over and you can do that. To your point, there are things that you don't have control over and it's really hard to do that. Like, let's say somebody has an illness. Yes, you can be positive about it, but if you know something is horribly going wrong, it's hard to tell somebody, you know what, change your, look at the bright side. What is the bright side? Like, for example, when my eye was going blind, everything's still darker in this eye. Like, there's a panic that sets in that, I'm never going to get my vision back. No matter how you look at it, it's still, shit.
Well, I would say if you're going down that, path like yours, yes, it may not anything, you can't do anything about it, but you can say at least I have vision in one eye. Because some people don't have vision in any eye. So you have to look
how
at
about the guy that has terminal cancer? Like,
then he has to there have been studies that they show a person with terminal cancer, he changes his attitude and his thinking, and all of a sudden that thing stops growing. It starts going into remission.
I'm saying from writing it as a statement, yes, it makes sense, but practicality wise, some things that you can control, like, okay, let me get up, turn on the lights. This is something I can quickly fix with a flip of a switch. That's easy. But to tell somebody, hey, you know what? Yeah, you're dying and, the thing's spreading all over your body. You need to change your attitude. Yeah, they should change their attitude, but the reality is that it's really hard for people to do that. And
it could be hard, but it's not impossible. I'm saying people have to come out of that mindset that, oh, I am given this fate, let me just, go down with the ship. There are things, the reason it happens, you have to go through these uncomfortable things is because you realize that there's something you can do about anything in life. Even if you're dying, again, watch those studies that they've done, those videos that people literally change their mindset, and 90 days from that point, their cancer is half the size that it was. Because if you give it more energy, oh, man, I'm dying, this is growing inside of me, everyone's going to die anyway. But who knows if your attitude is going to perpetuate that fate or it's going to, kind of slow it down.
So what do you think about then having a grieving period? Should people be allowed to grieve something bad that happens to them? If so, for how long before it gets to be stupid?
So for me, I said for my divorce, I said in my head, I'm going to grieve for a month. But after 3 days, I said, this is ridiculous. Like, why am I doing this? Why do I giving myself permission for another 27 days to be sad and upset if I can change my future today? Because the longer I wait to change my future and my mindset, the harder it's going to be to course correct. So for me, for 3 days, I was crying and I'm like, why is this happening to me? And then I listened to that Tony Robbins thing that says, think of it as, what's happening for you, not to you. And I'm so, okay, there must be a reason this is happening for me. Is it because maybe I wasn't going to be happy in 20 years from now and he decided to, or university decided to pull the plug on that relationship and let me go try something better? Of course. So once I had that thing, I said 3 days is enough, Ardi. What are you going to do for another 27 days? Why am I giving myself more time to be negative when I can use that time to be positive?
So what would you say to somebody else about that?
I would say grieve as minimum as possible. right? Because it's necessary. You have to have that grieving process. But a lot of people take that because it's comfortable to just sit down in your own sorrow and just, think about all the negative things in your life. They can make that last forever. Just like my mom, she's making that event last forever.
When you say comfortable, do you mean it actually feels good, or you mean it's familiar?
Familiar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's ugly feeling.
It is, but some people get used to that. Some people choose to go out with the same type of guy who beat them up in the previous relationship because it's familiar. Right? So my question to people is, why do you choose that fate if you know in your head you can just choose a different kind of thought pattern? If you can choose, this is the type of guy who beat me up in my previous relationship, I'm going to go out with this nice guy. It's just a decision. Say no to this guy at the bar and yes to that guy at the church. It's very simple to make that distinction.
And what about toxic positivity? Because that's something that is talked about all the time. Positivity used as an avoidance mechanism for grief. Yeah. So people who don't want to sit with discomfort, sometimes they take this other route, there is no discomfort. Yeah. There's a silver lining on every cloud type of attitude. How do people not fall into that when they're trying to also not fall into grief?
I think you got to be real with yourself. A lot of people who do that kind of a thing, I'm not, faced by this, fine, I'm going to do it. I think human nature is you have to grieve certain things and then we can get over it and move on. If I don't grieve about certain losses, it's going to just carry on into my next chapter of my life. And I'm going to show it off in another way. So I think grieving is natural. We have to grieve. We have to be shocked. We have to be angered. We have to be saddened by certain things. But we can't let that become our new identity.
Triple Shot Mindset.